All right, so now I'm going to get into a portion that's slightly more technical. It doesn't mean that non-technical folks have to zone out or snooze, right? But I really, really like this slide. This is one of the earlier ones that came out, one of the earlier images that came out. But I really like this one in the sense that it kind of gives us, the lay of the land. And if you want to find this image, you can just search building blocks generative AI. Great image created by I don't know who, but I'm stealing it here for sharing with you all. So the first layer, right? Anytime we're building an AI solution, this first layer is really pivotal, right? We're going to talk about this as infrastructure, right? I'm going to put, the semiconductor, cloud hosting, inference, all of that. I'm going to call it infrastructure. Okay. Sorry for my poor handwriting. Hope you can read it. Hope you can read cursive, first of all. Okay, so then another layer, right, is what they call the foundation model, which is what brain are we using? What LLM are you using? So you can think about like if we're using, let's say, the analogy of the human being, or let's say a living organism, right? You can think of the semiconductor as kind of like the bones, right? Because if the bones aren't there, you have absolutely zero structure. Everything is a mishmash of organs that just falls apart. There's no separation. It's a mess, right? So you can think about the infrastructure as the solid foundation. It's like the bones. It's the connective tissue at some level, and this is a core part of basically how the things can work. These include things like GPU clusters. Where am I hosting, right? The most common ones that we see that I'm going to talk about today are NVIDIA, Microsoft, Google, AWS. Typically NVIDIA is if you want to host your own machines, which again can come with its own cost and a much higher upfront cost. A lot of people, especially in the healthcare finance domain, tell me, yeah, yeah, for sure, we're going to use open source and we're going to start up our infrastructure that way. And then I ask them, okay, do you know how much that costs? And they go and they look into it and they realize, oh, that's not going to be as easy as we thought, right? Especially if all we want to do is to just build a POC to see if this works. Maybe it's not the best idea, right? So a lot of times, what folks, depending on your organization and your limits of your organization, et cetera, is that maybe you build, kind of like a low grade model, build a POC, keeping in mind that down the road you do want to build a production system and trying to chart that out, like we talked about earlier, right? But maybe you use kind of a well-sourced AI up front so that you don't have to build and build your own GPU servers. Well, not even build your own GPU servers, but just let's say buy a ton of GPU space. Even if I'm going to put it on the cloud, which allows for horizontal scaling, you might still not necessarily want to, just start off by provisioning all of your own resources just to be able to, say hello world, so to speak, right? So once we've done our infrastructure, we would choose. Awesome, thanks, Chris.